a horrendous murder of a little schoolgirl shocked a large city. Don't miss out. The girl's spirit will appear to share her pain. Welcome to Psychic Investigations, a channel that only features true and impressive stories. People who call themselves clairvoyants investigate incredible paranormal mysteries and tangled criminal cases. At 6 in the evening on a warm June day, on the shore of the Dnipro River in one of the Ukrainian cities, a shocked crowd stood around the dead body of a girl lying on sand. Rescuers had just taken her out of the water. It was Virsáviya Furlétova, an 11-year-old schoolgirl.
She was lying on the shore, at the edge of the water, covered with black plastic bag. She only had her underpants and cross-on.
Everyone was stunned.
Two frightened boys of 7 and 9 sat apart from everyone else on the beach. One of them had just lost his only sister.
I don't even want to recall it. It hurts me a lot.
It was a weekend, Sunday. Virsáviya and her younger brother Dnipro and their neighbor Arsene played in the courtyard, while their mother and grandmother were busy with household chores.
They decided to go fishing. The Dnipro is 6 bus stops away from their home. Dnipro said he, Arsene, and Virsáviya walked there.
The river is 2 kilometers away from their home. Children weren't allowed to go this far away from home, so they decided to go there secretly.
We undressed here to swim a little. All 3 of us went into the water and lied at the shore.
The boys claim they left Virsáviya alone for 15 minutes tops, while they went to find sticks to make fishing rods. When they returned, they found the girl dead.
I saw she was floating face down on the water. I called her several times, but she wouldn't answer. And then I swam to her and I reached her, but the depth there was great.
What could have happened to the girl in those 15 minutes at a popular riverside spot on Sunday? Plenty of people were swimming and fishing there.
It was Sunday, so there were many people there. There are a playground and a sports ground nearby.
We were fishing about 400 meters from there. When I went to check my rod, I found those 2 boys. One of them told me, "I think my sister drowned." I dove first, but then decided to call rescuers.
Everything pointed to an incident. The girl went swimming and drowned. Besides, according to her family, Virsáviya couldn't swim.
The initial forensic investigation concluded drowning.
We didn't want an autopsy first, but now I see it's good. They still did it.
The results of the autopsy came as a shock, not only for the girl's family, but also the police. The 11-year-old girl was brutally beaten and raped before she died.
When the results of the examination came, we were all shocked. They found sperm in her mouth, sphincter, and vagina.
You can't even call it shock. It's a great tragedy.
When the girl got into the water, she was still alive. Before she died, she received knocks on her head and neck, and her legs were bruised and covered with scratches. Naturally, the investigators changed the main version to a murder instead of an incident, as they initially thought.
But the truth was revealed too late, and the investigators didn't get any fingerprints or any other traces from the site. They didn't even interrogate the possible witnesses to the murder. The girl's relatives are still shocked. Who is the beast who raped the schoolgirl so brutally and then killed her? And where? Did it really happen on the crowded beach?
The water in her lungs means she drowned or was drowned in the river. The microflora analysis supports this conclusion. Most probably the girl was raped while she was on the shore.
She came as an angel and went as an angel.
Why did it happen to me? I don't want to live.
This is Olena, Virsáviya's mother. She's 41. She works at the local water services company. She raised her daughter and son alone after she divorced her children's father many years ago. The man didn't even attend his daughter's funeral.
She was buried in a white dress and with a doll.
The investigation into the girl's death has stalled.
The more details were found, the more questions came up.
But most importantly, the main witnesses, Virsáviya's brother Dnipro and their neighbor Arsene, often claim controversial things.
We had an impression that Dnipro learned a prepared text that he'd rehearsed many times. He claimed she'd had a conflict with Arsene, and they quarreled. But Arsene said there was no quarrel whatsoever. We're in the dead end now. The investigation got suspended.
I'm asking the psychics to come and help us find out the details of my cousin's death.
Kayal Alekperov and Olena Kurilova, the most powerful psychics of the project, embark on the investigation.
What is this? Like a flash during the day.
What is it glittering? Nobody sees the thing that the psychics are talking about.
It's a sign from her. Driver, pull over.
Let's go towards the glittering. Look, Virsáviya. Did the girl from the investigation bring us here?
Tell us what happened to you. Kayal, I see a hand. It's small like a child's hand and it grabs her by her neck and then it drowns her, putting her face down on the water surface.
Indeed, the girl's neck was bruised. Did a child murder her? But who was it? Was it her brother, the boy who went with them to the river, or somebody else?
Who hurt you? Where do we find him? I have a vision. A building. It's red and square. It looks like a maze. 3 or 4 stories and bars. I see bars.
Olena, the girl is telling me the dead bird keeps my secret.
Let's go to see her mom. Probably she can explain something.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello? I want to know how my daughter died.
Help us, please.
Can I have your hand? I feel you often see your daughter in your dreams. And in them, she gives you an odd look. I see fear and distrust in her eyes, but I don't know the reason behind them yet.
In one of the dreams, she was sitting on a bench and looking at me, and that was all. She didn't smile or do anything. She was simply staring at me seriously.
Virsáviya's spirit accompanied us all the way from the cemetery. She didn't say anything. She was simply standing and crying silently. And for some reason, she was looking at her mother with a gaze full of reproof and offense.
She's showing me a large square building of 3-4 stories. Its walls are reddish.
It looks like her school.
We need to go there.
Here it is. This is the building I saw.
However, the moment we approached the school, the security guard started behaving strangely.
He said he wouldn't let you or even me in.
The guard locked himself in the school. He won't let the students out and won't admit anybody. Even parents who came to take their children home can't enter the building.
Let her mom in.
What's going on in this school?
They fear.
We want to see the principal.
Hello?
Hello, why won't you admit us?
We need to enter the building whatever it takes us. The girl's spirit has brought us here for a reason.
I'll go without the cameras.
All right, no problem.
The clairvoyants enter the school. The crew stay outside. However, one of the members managed to film something with their phone.
Inside the school, Virsáviya's spirit was silently looking at all of us. I realized she'd brought us there because she wanted to tell us about the pain she endured while she was alive.
She was beaten repeatedly. She had bruises. I hear screams. She was grabbed, and then her head was dipped in something white with water inside. She wasn't only beaten publicly, but she was also humiliated terribly. However, I failed to find out whose the hand that was drowning the girl in my vision was. She feared the school.
Is somebody among the school students involved in the murder of the 5th grader? But who is it then? And why did they bully poor Virsáviya?
What we saw inside was horrible. Everyone must know what happened to the girl there. She was one step close to death in that school.
2 boys beat her. One of them was aggressive. He was fair-haired and the other had dark hair.
I saw those boys plunge her head into water.
Something like a sink or a toilet. And then I realized that the vision I'd had at the cemetery wasn't the moment of Virsáviya's murder. Poor girl. She was drowned twice. And the first time, her classmates tried to drown her in a toilet.
As an adult person, I couldn't even imagine the emotions the 11-year-old child felt.
Did you see the bruises?
I did.
Then why did you do nothing? Olena, now I understand why your daughter is giving you the reproaching look in your dreams. There was nobody to protect Virsáviya. Nobody cared what she did. She was growing up all by herself. I saw that Virsáviya was afraid of her own mother. She wasn't beaten only at school, but also at home.
We had conflicts. Once I whipped her so much she was all bruised.
You didn't care about her life. You saw that she was beaten and humiliated at school, but you did nothing. You didn't care.
Olena never approached me. I didn't know of this fact, but now I'm going to speak to everyone, including students, to confirm it.
We had our own investigation, and what we heard from the students and their parents is absolutely shocking.
2 guys made an ambush. They grabbed her by the hair and plunged her head into the toilet.
They put her head down into the toilet.
But it's not the worst thing that was done to her. She was punched outside the classroom in her stomach, arm, and rib.
The girl was beaten in the corridor in front of at least 15 other students. Moreover, not only the students, but also their parents knew of that case.
My daughter told me that the teacher paired a boy with Virsáviya. She took him by the hand, but he told her to take her hand away. He snatched his hand out of hers and started wiping it, saying he didn't want to stink like a bum.
She was different from the other kids. Her clothes were always bad, and her hair was never done properly. It meant nobody cared for her.
She was a pariah, and she was bullied, definitely.
She complained to the teachers. They summoned those kids' parents, and they sometimes came. They assured everything would be all right. But she continued to endure beatings and humiliation.
Does this mean the teachers knew? But did they really do nothing to stop the aggression at the school? Was it somebody of the students who beat, raped, and drowned Virsáviya?
The girl's spirit wanted us to tell everybody about her suffering. Besides, it didn't happen to Virsáviya alone.
Those boys aren't guilty of her death, but they must be stopped.
After we spoke to Virsáviya's classmates, we identified the boys who bullied her and checked their alibis. It turned out that on that day, they were with their parents and didn't go anywhere.
I wish you to never have it in your school anymore.
But who beat the girl so brutally and then drowned her?
At the cemetery, the girl's spirit told me something about a dead bird that kept her secret. Do you know what it could mean?
On their way to the river, they found a swallow in a puddle and tried to save it.
But they failed.
Yes. And so they buried it and covered its grave with sticks.
We need to see the place where she was with the dead bird. It's possible we can feel something there.
It's not far from our home.
I see her holding the bird in her hands and telling it what she feels. The bird was the only one whom she could tell everything.
She liked animals. She thought they were better than people.
I see the girl walk here. She was holding the bird she'd found in the yard, and then she and one of the boys buried it over there, behind those garages. To your daughter, it wasn't just a bird. She saw a friend in it and talked to it. I realized what secret the bird kept. The girl had no father or friends, so she asked the swallow to show her a miracle to make somebody who understood and loved her appear in her life. So, when the stranger approached Virsáviya and started talking to her kindly, she thought her wish had been granted. And the man was her friend. This was why your daughter wasn't afraid of the rapist.
She was a lonely child. Even when we came to visit her on her birthdays, there were never any other children among the guests, only her relatives.
She was never friends with anybody. She only spoke to her brother, and that was it.
We need to go where the girl spent the last minutes of her life. I feel the children took this track.
Yes, they did.
Let's follow their traces.
They swam. She wasn't murdered here.
And then they went that way. Here's where your daughter's clothes were found.
Dnipro said they'd also waded into the water here.
The girl was alone, and she heard somebody call her. It was the man.
What was Dnipro doing?
He and his friend were wandering around.
Do you mean Dnipro didn't see it?
I feel the commotion on this path, over there, in those bushes. A kick under her knee and she falls to her knees like this.
Oh God.
She falls like this and then one man. He grabs her by the neck and presses her to the ground. And a knock on her temple and then on her head.
Yes, the forensics found a hematoma on her head.
He pressed her down tightly and she couldn't breathe. It happened here.
There are always many people around here, but nobody noticed anything.
The place where the kids were was overgrown with bushes and reeds, and so it was impossible to see what was going on behind them.
Was he alone?
Yes.
Does he feel remorse for what he did?
Beasts have no remorse. Is the current directed that way? It carried away her body.
So she was thrown in the water back there, right?
Most probably, the girl was brutally raped not far from the place where the kids went swimming, and then she was drowned immediately. The traces of fresh blood on the girl's underwear that the investigators found point to that. Besides, her brother and neighbor didn't see any bruises or scratches on her before that.
Give me water.
My brain refuses to accept this information.
Olena, your daughter says you don't miss her at all. She is happier in the heavens than she was with you.
Do I need to weep? I simply don't know how to behave. My mom taught me that. She was also indifferent toward me. I don't know how to behave like a real mother, and I genuinely believe I am to blame for her death. I simply want to ask her to forgive me for being a bad mother.
I also asked her to forgive me for everything I didn't do.
She understands your tears.
The boy is also in serious danger. The danger comes from the man who murdered Virsáviya. I have a feeling the boy saw his sister's killer, but he didn't realize it. As such, he posed a danger to the murderer.
The psychics go to the police station to share the results of their investigation. The crews stay in the courtyard of the station to wait for the psychics. Here are some fragments of the conversation between the psychics and the investigator.
I saw a group of men on the shore. Then, one of them separated from the group.
He has a round face and a high forehead, and his hairline is receding. His hair is cut short. He's not tall, but broad-shouldered. And he had his knee injured in the past.
He's over 40. He has no family of his own.
Did you find the place where she was raped?
It happened closer to the shore in the bushes.
The psychics spoke to the investigator for almost an hour. Based on their words, the police compiled the facial composite of the schoolgirl's murderer.
We did everything we could. Now it's up to the investigators.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for your help.
If you're impressed by the story, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more impressive investigations are still ahead.